Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is week 1, lecture 1 of DST Triple E 244. I'm your instructor Wajia Khan, and we are going to study digital system design in this semester. I will be taking your lab also. My office is in B block, room number B12. You can see my email ID. If you have any question, any query about the subject, you can email me directly, or you can see me in my office hours. In my office, whenever you come to university, you can come to my office, but preferably you have to email me before coming to my office and take time for that. We are going to cover the following topics in our course Digital System Design. The first topic is Introduction to Digital Systems. We will see what are digital systems, how do we make them. Then the second topic is Combinational Logic Design. We have already studied combinational logic design in DLD. So basically DST is the higher version of DLD. Whatever building blocks you have studied in DLD, we will be elaborating those building blocks, and we will be making digital systems using them. Then the third topic is digital logic design, sequential logic design and controller implementation. From combinational logic design, we will be implementing sequential circuits, and with the help of sequential circuits, we will be making the controller for the digital systems. So basically, first 3 chapters are somewhat related to DLD. If you have studied DLD in a good manner, you will not be able to, you won't find difficulty in grasping these concepts. So the fourth chapter is data path component. So we will be studying the components which are used to build the data path of our digital system. Then in chapter 5 we will be implementing digital transfer level design, RTL design. Then in 6th chapter we will be studying the optimization and trade-off of these. In 7th chapter we will be seeing the programmable devices, which are PL, PLAs and FPGAs. And 8th will be the physical implementation of those digital systems. So we will go in this manner. These are the chapter numbers also, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the division based on the chapters. So we will study them one by one. Let's study the CLO's course learning outcomes of this course. CLO1, this course has 2 CLOs. CLO1 is analyze and design the working of advanced combinational and sequential logic based systems using the classic principle of DLD. So firstly we will be analyzing and designing the combinational and sequential logic systems, and this will fall on PLO3. Then we have CLO2. CLO2 is the design of digital system in a hierarchical and top-down manner using RTL approach. So this will start from chapter number 5. Chapter number 5 will be CLO2. Chapter 5, chapter 6 will be CL2, and this will again since this is a design part, this will again fall on PLO3. So both the CLOs are falling on PLO3 because both of them will be involving massive designing of digital systems. So these are CLO1 and CLO2 of your theory. So these are the rules for attending my lectures. Attendance does matter. You know that 80% attendance is necessary. Then there should be no plagiarism in your quizzes, assignment, lab works. So if I found anyone cheating in exam, in lab, quizzes, assignment, so that will be graded 0. Don't come to me if you have a 0 in your assignment and you have submitted it. It will be because of the copy material you have put in hand over to me. So please don't copy it. Understand the assignments, because most of the exams are based on assignments, so you have to do the assignments carefully. And since it is an online system, please I'm repeating again, don't copy the assignments. You have to do them yourself. Only email or meeting in office hours, as we are having online lectures, so maybe I will be recording my lecture or I will be taking a lecture. So please email me before coming to my office so that I keep myself available for you people. So I will be uploading the slides and online material on CU Online and also on the Google Drive. So I will be posting that and giving that to your CR. So you will be having the lecture slides. No emails for personal requests during exams. So you have to be interactive during the session so that I can see whether you are getting the concept or not. If you find any concept difficult, don't let me move to other slide. Just stop me over there and see what and ask me again and again whatever you want to understand. So this is chapter number 1, digital system design introduction. Why should we study digital system? We should know what is happening under the hood of our computer. We can only see the hardware from outside, so we want to see what is going inside our hardware. We want to have a solid understanding, confidence, insight, and even better programmer when aware of a better programmer is better if he knows what is inside the hardware, how the hardware works, how the hardware interprets its code. So we want to study that system. So this system, a study of this system falls under the digital design. So electronic devices are becoming digital, as we know, because it enables us shrinking of the chip. The devices becomes better. We can record better sounds, camera, car, cell phones. Embedded systems, thousands of new devices every year. Designer need potential carrier directions. Okay, now we are going to see the difference between analog and digital signals. What is analog? Analog means having infinite possible values. For example, a voltage on a wire, in this figure, it is having different values. The possible values are 1, 1.01, 2.009. So it can have any value. It can have infinite possible values. So this is an analog system. As compared to that, a digital system signal is a signal that has finite possible values. For example, over here we can either press 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are definite values and finite possible values. So you can see a digital system given in the bottom, which is having a value 1, 2, 4, and so and so. So you can see a digital and an analog system. Let's start a very basic digital system which is having only two values. We call this system a binary system. So binary digital signal is a signal that has only two possible values, zeros and one. We are very much familiar with the binary system. Typically these values are represented by zeros and one. One binary digit is called a bit. We'll only consider binary digital signals in this chapter. Binary is popular because transistors, we know that transistors, they have the basic digital electric components. They operate in two voltages, which is voltage high or voltage low. The voltage low is given as 0 and voltage high is given as 1. Storing, transforming one or two values is easier than 3 and more. So we will be using binary system for our DST course. I'm pretty sure you are much familiar with binary system. If you're not, you have to revise your concept yourself. Uh, in binary system, a loud beat or quiet beep. Loud beep can be interpreted as 1 and a quiet beep is interpreted as 0. Analog systems. Now we are going to see the comparison of analog signals and digital signals. We can see the analog signals, that is for example audio signal, may lose quality when they are transmitted over a communication system. The voltage levels are not same, and the received signal may be having different values at the original signal, so this will be lose its properties, whereas the digital system, if the digital system gets distorted, we can rebuild the digital signals and get the original values again. So you can see when the we have to send an analog signal over the communication system, we firstly convert it into a digital system using an A to D converter, and we can rebuild that system signal again. We can convert it back to analog by using a D to A converter, so this will be more useful. So you can see we can restore the values again. So firstly the signals are digitized, the original signal, the signals are digitized, having the values. For example, where it is firstly it is having a value of 0 1, then 1 0, then 1 1, then 1 0 1 0, and then 1 1 again. So it is going from 0 1 2 3, then 2, then 3. So we make a digital signal out of that, and using a digital to analog converter, we again build the analog signal. A digital signal can easily be compressed. For example, compression is required in digitizing audio. Audio signals can be easily compressed. A CD can hold 20 songs uncompressed, while it can hold 200 compressed songs. How to do compression? Firstly, we make a group of 10 bits. You can see these are 10 group of 10 bits together. Then if all the bits of the group are 0, we replace them by 0 0. If again we have all 10 zeros, we again replace them with 0 0. Then we have a random group, so we append a 1 with this group, and all the group is copied as it is. Then we have all ones, so we replace all ones with 0 1. So if all the bits of the group are same, so we have to replace it with either 0 1 or 0 0, depending upon what is inside the group. And if the bits are different, then we append a 1. 1 shows that the group has different values, have unsimilar bits, so we copy all the bits together. So you can see, instead of sending 40 bits, we are now able to represent the data in 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 bits. So we have compressed our data. So digital audio can be compressed, while analog audio cannot be compressed. Now we will see how do we encode data as binary from our digital system. First, we have an analog phenomena, a real-time system. The sensor senses some input from the analog, from the environment. It converts that input into a digital input from with the help of a to D converter. Then it gives the input to your digital system. Digital system do some processing over that and generates an output. With the help of D to A, we convert the output into analog, and we give it to the actuator in the form of electric signals, which give us response. If our input is already a digital data, we directly give that to a digital system, and digital system generates our digital data, and we give that again to some actuator or an output display. For example, we have a system in which we have to press button. 0 represent not pressed and 1 represent 1. If we press we have multiple buttons over here. Each of them will be generating a different output when we press the button. For example, when we press red, it will generate 0 0 1. When we press blue, it generates 0 1 0. So in this way we can identify which button is pressed. So you can see these are digital inputs. We can give them to a temperature sensor, which can display the temperature. Now we will see how to encode text. For encoding text, we have an ASCII code. ASCII code is a 7-bit or 8-bit, depending on a parity bit. So you can see these are the ASCII codes. The text can be encoding using this table into using this the binary groups into digits. For example, the ASCII code of each digit and is given over here, each symbol is given over here. We look into the table and we can decode that. How to encode binary numbers? Binary numbers can be encoded into decimal numbers, those having base of 10. So more than 9, next position, we go into the next position. For example, 1 0, these are based on the power of 10. Then we have a base of 2, which is binary, two symbols, 0 and 1. We have already studied the binary systems. You can see this is the power series of binary. The power grows in this manner. How to encode numbers in binary numbers? Well, we know the base 10 numbers, the numbers grow in the power of 10. For example, 1, 10, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s. Similarly, in binary, the number grows in the power of 2's. For example, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and so and so. So unlike base 10, we don't have common names like thousands and hundreds and 10,000 for each position in base 10. So we use the base 10 name. Another digital system which is commonly used is a hexadecimal decimal system. In this, one number is represented by 4 binary bits, for example, and the hexadecimal goes from 0 to 15. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then A, B, C, D, E, and F. So you can see over here 0 is 0, 0, 0, 0 in binary. Each hexadecimal digit is represented as a 4-bit binary. So if the conversion from hexadecimal to binary and binary to hexadecimal is very easy when we have a bit stream. So we can convert the bit stream into hexadecimal by grouping the bits into a group of 4 and then assigning each group of 4 by hexadecimal digit. For example, 11111000. First we are making groups of this. 1111 is represented by F and 0000 is given as 0 in hexadecimal. It is a nice system because each position represents 4 base 2 positions. Use a compact means to write binary number. It is known as hexadecimal or just hex system. Let's see the comparison of two digital systems. One is implemented using microprocessor and the other is implemented using a digital circuit using combination logic. Firstly, we want to detect the motion of a person at night. So we have a motion sensor, then we have a light sensor. This is connected with the digital system. This digital system can either be a circuit or a microprocessor. So we can have two implementation, one using microprocessor and other using a combinational circuit. So we will see what is better. The microprocessor is a programmed microprocessor system, and then the other is customized design using digital circuits. So which is easy? Microprocessor system is very easy to implement. We just need a microprocessor. We have to give a code. The code is very simple. We have a while one and we have to see the sensors on we the sensors I0 and not of I1. That means that there is a motion and the light is not on. If this is 1, then what we have to do, then the output which is connected with port 0, it should be 1. So P0 is equals to I0 and of I0 of I1. So I0 is connected with the motion sensor and I1 is connected with the light sensor. So when there is a motion and there is no light, then the output should be 1. So this is a simple code. We just burn it into the microprocessor and our digital system is ready. Other than that, we can also implement this using a customized design, in which we need a AND gate and a NOT gate. So you can see a circuit over here, in which A and NOT of B is equals to F. So this is the implementations. So which is easier and which is faster to implement? The microprocessor system is very cheap, because we know the microprocessors are easily available and they can easily programmed and they are reusable, while digital system has 2 gates and they need a designer to design a system, so it may cost more. But which system is better? Microprocessor system may be easy to implement, but there are time delays in microprocessor systems, whereas in the customized design, the time delays are minimized. So each system has its own pros and cons, so we have to see whether we want to make a cheap system or a time efficient system. Similarly, we have a system in which we have to compress the image, and then we have to read the image, and then we compress and then store it. So we have 2 type of systems. One is using a microprocessor, which is doing all the things, reading, compression and storing into the memory. And we have a system which has a read circuit, compress circuit, store circuit and a memory circuit. So we have to see the time of each. For a microprocessor system, read takes 5 seconds, then compression takes 8 seconds and store takes 1 second. So the total time will be 14 seconds. As in comparison to that, we have a customized digital circuit in which reading is taking 0.1 seconds, then compression is taking 0.5 seconds and storing is taking 0.8 seconds. So the total time is 1.4 seconds. So based on time, we know that the customized digital design is much better than that of microprocessor implementation. Microprocessor system is too slow, but it may be bigger and it may be power hungry and costly. But what we do is we can have a compromise on this. But microprocessor is easier to implement, but this system is the customized system is difficult to implement, because we have to make the circuit of each system separately. So what we do is we have a compromise in which we have a read circuit, we have a compress circuit, then the microprocessor is doing the storing. Because the storing time of both the systems are comparable, so we use this microprocessor for storing, and read and compressing is done with exclusively designed circuits. So the total time now is 1.6, which is a good compromise. So while designing, we want to have a compromise between cost and design.